It's that time of year. Different birds are returning to northeastern Pennsylvania. Spring is in the air here, and probably you're hearing a change in the sounds of the birds where you are. A change in the scenery is visible wherever you look. Spring is on its way. With that comes Spring Gobbler. 10 reasons why Spring Gobbler is the best of all hunting seasons. That's this episode of Death by Bunjie. I hope that my microphone is picking up those birds. I just love this time of year because you get all those different sounds. Spring Gobbler, now it's not a competition. We're not here to decide whether hunting Spring Gobbler is superior to the fall hunting seasons. I'm very curious to know your thoughts on that and what your favorite animal to hunt is, whether it's turkeys, whether it's deer, whether it's hogs, whatever it might be. What is your favorite animal to hunt? Leave me a comment. I love discussing that and loving hearing from other people in different parts of the country, different parts of the world, about what animals they like to pursue. Here in northeastern Pennsylvania, it's no secret, of course, this is a channel about crossbows, about crossbow hunting. I have yet to kill a gobbler with my crossbow. I've been out before with a shotgun, been successful in Spring Gobbler with that, but never with a crossbow. Year after year I will try. This year hopefully will be the year where Bunjie and I take a Spring Gobbler with a crossbow here in northeastern Pennsylvania. We shall see. So again, it's not a competition. Not here to convince you that one type of hunting is better than any other. I'm just here to talk about 10 reasons that I put together for a list as to why Spring Gobbler is just plain awesome. I look forward to this time of year, and I was inspired to do this video. I thought it'd be a good video because I was talking to somebody at work, a buddy of mine at work, talking to him about hunting, and we were talking about shed hunting and going out there and seeing if you could find any sheds this time of year, which I'm going to do another video about that this week, hopefully this weekend. But we were talking about that, and the subject of Spring Gobbler came up, and I said, are you ready for that? And he said, I got to tell you, that's my favorite. It's a toss-up, but I almost think that's the most exciting time of year. And I thought, you know, when the birds are on, when you're out there and you're interacting with turkeys, when you're interacting with those Spring Gobblers, really there is almost nothing better. So I'm going to put together 10 reasons why I think that's the case, 10 reasons why you should consider hunting for Spring Gobbler with your crossbow or the weapon of your choice, where you are if you aren't already looking forward to that season. The first reason why you should be looking at Spring Gobbler, why Spring Gobbler is the most awesome time of year to hunt, the most awesome hunting season, is because it's spring. We've been sitting here in northeastern Pennsylvania through a rough winter. We've been plowing snow. We've been shoveling the sidewalks in some places. We've had to worry about heating the house, keeping the pipes from freezing and all that good stuff. All those problems. Feeding the birds, getting them through the winter. Feeding the deer and hoping those food plots help those deer get through the winter. Now we don't have to worry about that so much. The seasons are changing and help is on the way. Nice sunny weather is on the way. And you start to see when Spring Gobbler starts to come around the corner, you'll start to see a little bit of green in the grass, a little bit of green in that clover. And before you know it, green on the trees. Spring will liven the place up and it looks completely different when we are in spring. Spring Gobbler is an opportunity for you to go out there. We're not looking at a brown landscape anymore. You'll start to see the buds on the trees at the beginning of that Spring Gobbler season, and by the end of it, you're going to see green foliage everywhere. The woods will thicken up, and you'll be sitting out there on a nice, warm spring morning. You can take a nap in the woods if you want to. It's just perfect. Get my props out here. I got some props for this one. The next reason why Spring Gobbler is awesome and why it's the most awesome of hunting seasons is because hunting Spring Gobbler is interactive. You get to interact with those birds, and that's phenomenal. You try to convince them that you're actually a female turkey and that you're ready for business, and all they got to do is come your way. And then you surprise them and shoot them in the face or something like that if you're a shotgun hunter. Or in my case, I try to see if I can get them within 30 yards, get a shot with the crossbow. That's just how Spring Gobbler works. It's interactive though, and that's what's awesome about it. Now, sure, Deer hunting, certain times of the year, that can be interactive as well. We can sit there and try and call deer and entice them to come in. Yeah, the can. But most of the time that doesn't work. Most of the time it is not interactive, and most of the time you don't get really the responses that you're hoping for. In fact, you may have seen a video I did earlier this year. I think it was my crossbow wrap-up video. Down there calling, using different can calls, trying to lure in a buck during the peak of the rut down at the well pad food plot, and I called in a nice spike. That was the only deer that responded to that call that morning, so I packed up my gear, moved to the hemlocks where I used the same call after a little bit of time after I got settled in, and sure enough, called in the same spike from the same, he just basically went back to the bedding area. I walked over to the other side of the bedding area and pulled him just in the other direction. It was the same deer though. Still, that's awesome. Don't get me wrong, that's fantastic. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. I'd hate to go through a fall without that opportunity. And that measure of success in deer hunting is phenomenal. That's awesome, okay? I really appreciate that. But at the same time, when you're out in the woods and you call a turkey and you hear that gobble in response to your clucking, in response to your yelping, and you hear a gobble come back, that really gets your blood pressure up. That really gets your adrenaline pumping. The third reason why I think Spring Gobbler is awesome is that the trophy levels are quite high and easily attainable. It's not that hard if you're successful in Spring Gobbler season to have a gobbler that you can hang on the wall, or a beard that you can hang on the wall, or spurs that you can show your friends and be proud of, in a sense that they are trophies. Now, not all hunting is about trophies. I understand that. I look forward to eating Spring Gobbler as much as I do the idea of shooting one and hanging it on the wall. But compared to other species, you're more likely to have a wall hanger of sorts, that trophy bird. I think when you're hunting Spring Gobbler, essentially turkeys in their first year, that's probably a jake. It's going to be something that I would not turn down. I would happily shoot a jake during the Spring Gobbler season with my crossbow. I would be very proud to accomplish that, and I look forward to doing it. If that's the opportunity that I get, if that's the first opportunity that I get on a good clear shot with Bunjie, we'll take that shot. But on the other hand, any 3-year-old bird or even older, that's going on the wall. And essentially, it's not really the same as deer either. With deer, you got to wait around till they're 4 years old, 5 years old to really get that trophy by today's definition of trophies, depending on who you listen to. And some of those trophies aren't even attainable here in Pennsylvania, or here in the part of Pennsylvania I'm in. For me, if I get a deer that's over 100 inches, that's something I'm probably going to put on the wall. Other people would say, yeah, in 3 years I'll put that on the wall. When it comes to turkeys, when it comes to Spring Gobblers, it's pretty, I'm not going to say easy, but the likelihood of shooting a trophy gobbler, it's there. There's a good chance that if you get a gobbler in spring turkey season, in Spring Gobbler season, that you're going to walk home with a trophy. Number 4, the number 4 reason why I think you should look at Spring Gobbler as just such an awesome opportunity to go afield is numbers. The number of birds, the number of Spring Gobblers that are available. Now that varies from place to place. There's no question about that. It's going to depend on habitat. It's going to depend on the species that you're hunting. It's going to depend on predators that might be in the area. It's going to depend on how brutal your winter was, food supplies, a lot of different factors. When I was a kid, there were almost no turkeys here. I do not remember ever seeing a turkey when I was growing up. Not once. Not driving down the road, not in the field, nothing. No turkeys. Now, I frequently get them on game cameras here on the same property where I grew up. So they're not uncommon now. They are around. Their numbers have increased, primarily through conservation efforts that have been made, and a lot of that has to do with habitat improvement, some of which was intentional, some of which is just the nature of the beast, the nature of change here in northeastern Pennsylvania. More forests have grown up and provided roosting areas for mature turkeys, and I think thickening, once you log off a place and the woods thickens up a little bit, it provides good nesting habitat. There's a lot of different factors that go into habitat, and those exist here now. Our numbers are pretty good. Now, we got deer all over the place too. Those of you who like our Facebook page see week after week I post all kinds of fun pictures on there from my trail cameras. At least I think they're fun. Genevieve, my daughter, she thinks they're fun. Hopefully the people who like the Facebook page also think that they are fun. Maybe you'll check those out and maybe you can enjoy those as well. From time to time, I do post pictures of gobblers and turkeys that we get on those trail cameras, whether they're in the food plots or just making their way through the woods or things like that. But the numbers are there. Plenty of opportunity, at least here, for spring gobbler. Now this one's going to sound a little bit weird, but the number 5 reason why I think spring gobbler beats fall deer seasons, and why I'd rather hunt spring gobbler, is because you don't have to worry about being scent free. Now I know that sounds kind of weird. Why doesn't he like washing his clothes or taking a shower? Well, it isn't quite that simple. That's not all that there is to it. When you have to get up at 3:30 in the morning to go hunt spring gobbler, bright and early, and take a shower first. If you had to take a shower first and get scent free and worry about the scent free and all that stuff, that'd be a little bit of a problem, because you're really, it just is that regimen, that scent free regimen in the fall wears you out. You have to take that shower. You got to worry about where you're putting your clothes on. You got to worry about where you're storing your boots. You got to spray everything down. You got to worry about doing the laundry a certain way. And then you got to get out there and make sure you haven't contaminated yourself by the time you get to your tree stand in the fall deer seasons. For turkeys can't smell. They don't care what you smell like. So I don't have to worry about those scent-free regimens, about all those scent-free products, about the laundry and the clothing, everything else. They can see really well. You got to worry about the quality of your camouflage, but you don't have to worry about how you smell. So I can just get up, get a cup of coffee or whatever, head out into the woods and hunt spring gobbler. That's a plus. Now, like I just said, you have to get up bright and early. But the number 6 reason why I love spring gobbler and why it is so awesome is that you can hunt before you go to work. I mean, you have to get up so early that if you've changed your sleeping patterns, you can actually get an hour or two in the woods before you go to work. Because you have to get up at 3:30, it gets light around 4:30, 5 o'clock, something like that. You want to be situated and in the stand. You might get an hour, maybe even more than that, before you actually have to be at the office or at your place of work. That's pretty cool. Number 7, for the reasons why I love spring gobbler hunting. You get to hunt from the ground. Now here in northeastern Pennsylvania, believe it or not, it is illegal to hunt spring gobbler from a tree stand. You can't be up in a tree calling spring gobbler, and it's not really an effective way to hunt spring gobbler anyway, so I'm not too worried about that. But you have to hunt from the ground. There's a lot of requirements, a lot of restrictions on the way we hunt spring gobbler in the spring, and they are driven by safety precautions. I'm sure that there are restrictions where you are as well. They may not be the same, but I'm sure that those restrictions are out there. Make sure wherever you go afield that you are following those restrictions, whether they are state, local, or federal regulations that you need to follow for your hunting seasons. If you do that, that's a big step in the direction of safety. And while I'm on the subject, I always wear a fluorescent hat when I am moving in the woods during spring gobbler. It is not required, but I do it anyway. No reason why I've got to worry about gobblers seeing me. If they see a human being in camouflage walking through the woods, it doesn't matter whether you got orange on or not. They're going to pick you out if you move. The minute you take a step, you need to have that orange on so you don't get shot by some other trespasser, some other hunter, even if you're on your own property, even on this place. When I shot a woodchuck during spring gobbler season with my crossbow, you'll see in that video, if you've watched it, I'm wearing an orange hat, even when I'm talking, doing the interview, because that's a concern. I just don't want to get shot. And it happens. Every year it happens. So don't be one of those people that it happens to. To prevent it, what we do is we wear orange. Okay, enough of the lecture there. But the important thing to me, what I like about spring gobblers, you get to move around a little bit, hunt from the ground. And when you're hunting from the ground, you have an opportunity to be eye level with your prey, which is just the neatest way to hunt, in my opinion. You don't have to worry about scent, odor, getting to those turkeys because they can't smell. Deer, on the other hand, if you're down at their level, I think that increases the likelihood that they're going to smell you. If you're hunting from a ground blind, even though that blind may enclose your scent and enclose your movement, some of that still is at the eye level. It's at the nose level of the deer. Some of that still gets to the deer, whereas if you're up in a tree stand, maybe it filters down to them, but it might disperse in the wind and all that other stuff. So there's different people think different things about that. But I think being at the ground level is just a neat way to hunt. It really gives you a unique perspective for the camera, for example. If you have a camera set up, I love to film stuff. I've talked to people, in fact, the buddy I was talking about films his turkey hunts. He doesn't film his deer hunts, but he does film his turkey hunts. It's just a neat perspective. The end result is right there. You're right there at eye level with your turkeys. That's pretty cool. The number 8 reason why I really, really like spring gobbler, and this goes along with it being, spring, is the fact that during this time of year, you probably have heard even this lapel microphone pick up some of those birds. The bird sounds that you get during this time of year are unique to this time of year. We're just coming out of the winter where the birds aren't as active. They're conserving their energy because food is scarce. Lots of birds around here. We feed birds all year long, but they're particularly active at the feeders during winter because there isn't food everywhere else. And I've put a lot of videos and pictures on the Facebook page, and I've even worked it into some of these videos of the videos that I've shot of those birds at those feeders. I love that. I think it's awesome, and I look forward to it every winter. I love the seasons though, and when those seasons start to change, we start to get different birds around here. All of a sudden we're hearing the geese go, right? The geese are coming back up north from the south, so we start to hear the geese flying over, and you'll hear that when you're hunting spring gobbler. In addition to that, robins. Robins return to northeastern Pennsylvania. We haven't had them here all year long, so we start to see those birds show up. Now I'm sure wherever you are, it's kind of the same thing, maybe different birds, right? But the seasons start to change, and wildlife that migrates will start to migrate through your area. Spring gobbler is the time of change, and you will see those seasons change before your eyes, but you will also hear it in the form of those birds chirping. The other thing we get this time of year is the mating call of those birds. Now, a little bit ago, Genevieve and I went through and we cleaned out all of the nesting boxes. We try to do that every year in March to clean out those nesting boxes and make it so they're ready for new nests to be built, fresh nests with fresh twigs, fresh hay, the whole bit. They'll load up those nesting boxes with moss and all other kinds of different things to make them ready for their nests. But along with that comes the mating calls that you start to hear this time of year. Chickadees start to make that different sound where, and you walk outside, it just makes me so happy. I become so overwhelmed with happiness when I hear that sound after this long, barren winter. You get to hear a chickadee do that high pitch to low pitch sound, that sound. I just love that. And the fact that you start to get to hear that this time of year, it just makes me so happy to hear that. And spring gobbler, the soundtrack of spring gobbler, when you're out there in the woods, is totally different from the rest of the year. It is a spring sound. You're hearing some of that today if this microphone picks it up. Even if it doesn't, you know what I'm talking about. Just a great, great sound. Even the brown-headed cowbird, an invasive species that I kind of wish wasn't here, you start to hear this sound in the spring that sounds like water. I can't even describe it for you. It's like, maybe we just heard one there. You'll hear like, it's almost like water going down a drain, it's just a weird sound. But it's just a very unique sound, and when you haven't heard it for a while and all of a sudden you hear it, that's heaven on earth. We're almost there. Number 9. The number 9 reason why I love spring gobbler and why I think it's superior to deer hunting, if I dare say that, is that there are so many different subspecies. They populate maybe not the same range by any measure as deer. They don't go as far north. They don't go as far in, they don't go through the Rockies the way mule deer are in the Rockies, but there are turkeys of some sort in most of the United States and Mexico, parts of Mexico, and parts of Canada as well. You have those opportunities for the spring gobbler in those places. But there are 6 different subspecies. We've got the eastern, where I am here, which is the largest of those turkeys. But if you go into Florida, you got a bird that looks very similar, but it's called the Osceola turkey down to Florida. And I think if you go out west, you've got the Rio Grande in Texas, you got the Merriams, you've got the Gould's turkey, and then there is the South Mexico turkey. So there's 6 different subspecies of turkeys, and they all look a little bit different. Kind of the way deer are different species, mule deer differ from white-tailed deer, that sort of thing. And there are subspecies of white-tailed deer as well. And if you go up to Canada and, they have bigger deer than we have down in Florida, that kind of thing. So they do vary, but I don't think they vary as distinctly as the subspecies for turkeys. So, right now I've only ever hunted the eastern turkey here. That's what we have here. But hunting an Osceola in Florida, that's on my list of things to do. That's going to happen someday, going down there. See the differences in the way that you hunt them, see the differences in the way those birds react, and see the differences in the way that they look, maybe the way they taste, that sort of thing. Very interesting to me that they have these different ones. So turkeys in that sense are very unique to where you are, and I think that's fascinating. All right, and the number 10 reason why spring gobbler hunting is awesome, the number 10 reason why gobblers and turkeys are just superior to all other game animals, is that turkeys are just plain awesome. They are the most phenomenal creatures, and I am fascinated with them every time I see them in a field, every time I see them on a game camera. I just cannot believe that they can, number one, even survive the winter. These are animals that walk around barefoot all winter long with almost none of the food that they eat is available all winter long. There's no bugs available in the winter. There's only little snippets of grass here and there, seeds here and there, and that's really all they have access to throughout the entire winter. Somehow they survive even though they have to sleep in the tallest trees, out exposed to the coldest winter winds, swaying back and forth all winter long, and somehow they survive not only to reproduce in the spring, but to flourish in the spring. They are just phenomenal animals. They are survivors. They are dedicated. They are tough. And then think about the way that they react in the spring, the way that they act, the way that they move around the woods. Most animals, like deer, wait until the cover of darkness or just before that to walk real quietly along the edge of the woods and sneak out to that food plot. And they're always looking around to make sure you're not there. And they're eating a little bit of food, and then they go back and try and digest that food someplace else. That's what deer do. Turkeys, on the other hand, they can go wherever they want. In fact, they don't sit there and be quiet about it. When they're ready to mate, the first thing to do is gobble. They make this really loud sound that announces to the whole world right where they are. They tell everybody within earshot as loud as they possibly can, hey, I'm right here, come get me. That's what they say. That's a unique animal. That's not typical of wildlife in general, and they are just phenomenal for being able to do all of that. I really am impressed with them. Now, of course, it's not just me. You probably have heard, for example, that Benjamin Franklin thought that the wild turkey, the American turkey, should be the American bird, the mascot for the United States, not the bald eagle. He was critical of the bald eagle because the bald eagle basically sits in a tree and waits for, he's kind of a lazy hunter, waits for something either to die and wash up on the shore so he can swoop down and eat it, or he waits until another bird that worked really, really hard, like an osprey, kills a fish and pulls it out of the water, and then he attacks that bird and takes the fish. That's basically what bald eagles do, or at least that's the way he interpreted it. The turkey, on the other hand, has all those qualities that I was talking about. And he wrote once in a letter, I looked this up and I found this one quote from him that I thought was really interesting. He said that the difference with the wild turkey or with a gobbler is that he is, besides, though a little vain and silly, a bird of courage, and would not hesitate to attack a grenadier of the British Guards who should presume to invade his farmyard with a red coat on. Grenadier, grenadier, grenadier? I don't know. I think it's grenadier. But anyway, you get the point though. Basically, this is at the time of the American Revolution. Ben Franklin's saying the turkey should be the American bird because this bird is not even bashful. Like, he's going to go out there. He wouldn't even be afraid to attack a British soldier during the American Revolution. And that's pretty cool. Now, this is not a competition. I don't think that's the case. I'm not trying to say that Spring Gobbler really is superior, but it's just another reason to really, really appreciate the outdoors, another reason to appreciate crossbow hunting, because it lends itself very well to crossbow hunting and to filming your own hunts. So take a look at my filming your own hunt videos if you're interested in that. I'm not the first person to really respect the American turkey, the wild turkey. Of course, Benjamin Franklin, the American Indians, of course, wore their feathers in their headdresses and all that sort of thing. They were very, very unique, and that was part of their style, part of their heritage as well. And it's not limited to that. Even modern artists even recognize the significance of wild turkeys. I went to an Uli Roth concert. He's a guitarist who used to play for the Scorpions. There's a lot of really unique guitar music. Love his music. My daughter even appreciates his music, and that's good to hear. I went to one of his concerts not too long ago, and his singer had his microphone stand adorned with wild turkey feathers, and I thought, now that's pretty cool. This is my kind of guy and my kind of music. So that was nice to see as well. So other people do appreciate that, and I'm sure you do as well, or you probably wouldn't have made it this far in this video. Comment below on your favorite animal to hunt. Let me know what that is. Let's get a dialogue going about that. Maybe I can do more videos on that subject down the road. I really appreciate you watching this video, and I hope you liked it. Please check out the Facebook page if you haven't done so already. Subscribe here on YouTube. It's free. You just hit the little button, and YouTube will put my next video in your subscription feed. So if you click on it on your phone and go to your subscriptions, or if you click on it on the webpage and go to your subscriptions, you'll see my new videos come right up in that subscription feed. Check that out if you haven't already. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, good luck out there with your spring hunting seasons, and all hail Bunjie!
The second state is number one in my book.
Probably hear a change in the sounds of the birds where you are as well, and that means Spring Gobbler is right around the corner. Spring Gobbler, we're almost there, number 9. The number 9 reason why I love Spring Gobbler, we're almost there, number 9. The number 9 reason why I love Spring Gobbler, crows? Did you hear that? Now we got crows. All the birds are out today. Haven't heard any gobbles yet, though.